It is always a privilege to address the court with your ladyship's leave to offer a few reflections on the admission of new barristers to robe. The words by which they will shortly be called are familiar to us all, learned friends. Simple words, yet full of meaning. If we pause to reflect on them, we find within them an entire philosophy of the bar. To be learned is not merely to accumulate knowledge, nor to brandish the title and demand respect for it. It is to recognize that the law is larger than ourselves, that we remain students as much as practitioners, and that genuine learning begins with the humility to accept that we do not know everything. To be truly learned is also to understand that every case touches real lives, and that law without empathy cannot amount to justice. The profession into which the new callees are admitted today is a noble one. It is not a business. It is not a trade to be practiced for personal gain. It is a vocation. It is service. The burdens are real. Long hours, difficult clients, and disappointing outcomes are inevitable. Yet it is often in those moments when the gown feels heaviest that the barrister comes to understand the true meaning of his calling. For without the efforts of counsel to speak, to argue, to challenge, and to explain, justice cannot be made accessible to the citizen. The second word, friend, reminds us that while barristers may stand on opposite sides of a case, they are not adversaries beyond it. They are bound together by collegiality and professional courtesy. The expression calls upon members of the bar to treat one another as peers, to respect their opponents, and to remember that the practice of law is not a solitary contest, but a shared endeavor. The strength of the bar has always rested on that sense of community. The same courtesy must extend to all those who participate in the work of the court: witnesses, police officers, ushers, and court officers. Respect within the justice system is never unilateral. It is built through conduct, restraint, and professionalism. It is, in one word, earned. Lady, the new callees joined the bar at a time of significant transformation in our legal landscape. A process of reform has begun, and it will continue. Its ambition is to render the law more accessible, more efficient, and more just. But such reform can succeed only if it is firmly anchored in respect for the rule of law, the separation of powers, the independence of the bar, and the independence of the judiciary. Disagreement about reform is inevitable, but it is healthy. We may differ on whether a particular measure is necessary, whether a proposed solution is optimal, or whether addressing one difficulty risks creating another. Such debate is an essential feature of a mature legal culture. What must be preserved, however, is a shared commitment to the principles that sustain justice in a democratic society. Yes, there have been hiccups along the way, but nothing that cannot be resolved by renewed mutual understanding. I have always advocated that respect is the cornerstone of the relationship between the bar and the courts. May I therefore use this solemn occasion, milady, to reaffirm my firm commitment to the rule of law, but also to the independence of the court. The responsibility of the bar, for its part, is to engage with change without losing sight of its foundational values. The temptation will always exist to take shortcuts, to yield to convenience, or to follow habits of practice rather than the rules that govern them. Yet, fidelity to the law requires adherence to those rules even when they are unwelcome or disappointing. The courtroom is not a forum for personal grievance. It is a forum for justice. And it is by respecting its discipline that the profession earns the trust it seeks. The law itself is not static. It grows and adapts, like the living tree spoken of by the Privy Council nearly a century ago. There will be frustrations, judgments that seem wrong, procedures that feel outdated, outcomes that appear unjust. But progress in law is not achieved through defiance or disengagement. It is achieved through persuasion, patience, and steadfast commitment to principle. And so, my lady, as these new barristers are called today, they are entrusted not merely with a title, but with the responsibilities that accompany it. They will be called learned. May they remain humble enough to keep learning. They will be called friends. May they always be worthy of that trust. And as they take their place amongst the profession, may they consistently place service to justice above personal interest. My learned friends, I congratulate you and wish you all the success you deserve. I thank the court.
Thank you.